Hi guys, my name is Vijay. It is really nice to see you here. I would like to share with you the five things that, in my experience, are necessary in order to overcome chronic depression. As many of you know, depression is a really serious condition, especially when you have acute episodes. Um, this is when you completely lose the sense that life has any meaning. It also reflects on your body. You have no power to get out of bed. Everything seems like a huge chore, even things that you usually enjoy. You don't have any energy. You're completely drained. It's very challenging to do your work. And even when you're in a so-called, more normal state, so you're not in an acute episode, even then everything seems to happen um, on the background of this huge blackness, or as I like to call it, it seems like you're in a black hole. So even when something nice happens, it seems like a small flicker of light in this endless darkness. So you're never really able to enjoy life. And as you know, depression is a feeling, very heavy one. So that's why it tends to go in waves. And sometimes you feel like, oh, I overcame it. I haven't had it in a while. I'm fine. And then, bam, one day something happens. It comes back. So I was in this kind of state of coming and going for about 23 years, from age 11 to age 34. Um, and I would like to share what happened with me and how I was actually able to get out of it completely, to burst the bubble, uh, so to speak, permanently. So even in the past 2 3 years after this thing happens, I've had some episodes of so-called depression, but I'm no longer so drained by it or so into it. So I'm able to get out quickly and I'm able to see life in a normal way. I was born and raised in Bulgaria in Eastern Europe. I'm 36 years old. So when I was growing up, there was no concept of depression. There were no psychologists. So there was nobody to diagnose me. So I had to do it myself. I went through many suicide attempts and things like this. Um, and for 20 years, I did not seek any professional help. Because I didn't know there was actually any. I did not take medication. Because there was just nobody to kind of push me in that direction. So I was having hundreds of conversations with friends. I was reading a lot of books. That's when my interest in psychology began. So I started reading a lot of psychology books, and ultimately this led me to reading a lot of New Age literature and going back to the holy books of many different religions, trying to find an answer. And so I, you know, started on a spiritual path, so to speak, and I started meditating. Um, if I can reflect on the five things, because I think everything is a complex picture, so you need different things, different ingredients in order for something to work. I would have to say number one is family. Regardless of how difficult and challenging your or my relationships with family have been, a lot of work there to do and overcome. Um, Family still, these are still the people who would be hopefully next to you when you lose your job, or you need some psychological or financial assistance. If you need to go to a hospital for a few weeks, they will be the people who come visit you. So if not the parents, then brothers or sisters or aunts or uncles. Hopefully there is at least one person in your life, a family member, who you can count on. So family is absolutely crucial. It would be very difficult for a depressed person to survive without their family members. Number two, for me, it's crucial to have someone that you can trust and that you can talk to, a friend, somebody who will be there for you late at night, early in the morning, on Monday or on Sunday. Uh, Hopefully, somebody who has some understanding of psychological, spiritual matters of depression. So, who would not just give you cliches, but would actually be able to listen to you, be strong enough not to be burdened by you, but just be there for you and have conversations with you. Mm, I was lucky enough to have a person like that in my life. I'm extremely grateful. I don't think I would have made it without her and without the many, many conversations that we had. Um, Number three, it's extremely important for you to find a good psychologist. Now, if you are like I wasn't even able to really look. I was so confused. And then actually, my friend stepped up. She found a really good psychologist on the internet here in Sofia, Bulgaria, who had a nice website. I went to him for 3, 4 months and he changed my life. Now, we're not talking about any psychologist. We're talking about someone who hopefully has a deep understanding of life as well, who you can really connect when you have to trust them. My particular psychologist was using a cognitive behavioral therapy, which I think is extremely important because we were actually working on the thoughts, how your thoughts, what kind of thoughts you have, and to trace them back to the beginning. So, for example, do you have anger, self criticism, self hatred, insecurity? Caring too much about what other people say, and if you have those things, to trace them back to see where they begin. Do they go back to family? Are you afraid of what people say because then you feel like you're a bad person, and if you feel like you're a bad person you would hate yourself? So you're kind of tracing this like mental pattern of how one thought leads to another. And for me that's extremely important because that's the only way to really see the negative patterns in your mind and start changing them. At the same time, I would say, as crucial as my psychologist was to me, um, he was one part of the whole puzzle. I would have to say that the most important thing in my life was my meditation practice. That I started meditating. Well, first of all, meditation most generally calms the mind, right? It calms you down. And when you get deeper, um, even though I mostly did very simple practices that are available to everyone, that they're not part of any denomination. Or later I started doing some Buddhist meditations, but I started with something quite general. Uh, Meditation allows you to disidentify from your own mind, because the mind quiets down, you start to hear the silence, you kind of step outside of yourself and you start observing, but observing not through the mind, but observing through from this place of silence and stillness. And this is extremely healing because then you can see that you are not these negative thoughts, so you can kind of disengage from them. And as I was doing this more and more, one night I was alone in my apartment. I was complete darkness, and depression overcame me. And when depression overcomes you, you know that it's very hard to disidentify from it because you're identified with it. You know, I am my depression. But I had talked to my best friend before that. When this happens, I was prepared. So even though I was feeling like I was a depression, I still found the strength to start saying out loud, this is not me, this is not, you are not who I am, go away, I am something pure, I am something beautiful, I am something positive, I am something divine. Even though I was not feeling that way, but I started saying these things out loud in the dark. And uh, and I, as I was saying these things, I started feeling more and more empowered. Go away, I'm something bigger than you, I'm something more powerful. Even though my whole life it felt like depression was crushing me and that she was more powerful. In any case, as I was saying these positive things, suddenly I felt like there was a bubble and it suddenly sort of burst. And once this happened, in the morning, I saw the world with completely new eyes. I could not believe it. I was walking on the street thinking, my God, these people have no idea, because I was seeing things like they are, like normal people see them, whatever that means. Just I was able to finally breathe. Everything seemed fresh and sunny and peaceful, and I was able to enjoy life for the first moment. So this black background disappeared. And as I said, even after that, the moments I was feeling down, because depression has a certain momentum, so it kept coming back a little bit, but there was no black background, even if I was depressed. But then I get out of this feeling, and life is just, beautiful again. It's not a fairy tale story, so you still have to work a lot on yourself, but it is possible to overcome depression permanently, and to get out of this state of being in a black hole with acute episodes, and not acute episodes, but with this wave. It's possible to get out of this ocean. um, and so first family, second a really good friend, a good psychologist, meditation, and the last thing, of course, is medication. I did take a um, just a basic antidepressant for a year and a half. I started it after I had this experience. Let's call it a transcendental experience, or inner experience, psychological experience, whatever you want to call it. I took the antidepressant mainly to so that I know that I've done everything I can. At the same time, I do believe it had some stabilizing effect on my body's chemistry. I don't think it's the long-term solution, because, as I said, depression is something mental, and then it's an emotion, and in my opinion, you have to deal with these things. At the same time, many people have said that medication has really helped them stay stable. So if medication works for you, by all means, take it. And at the same time, if you're willing to be more open, or open enough, you can try the other things. um, try meditation, try talking to people more deeply. Definitely go to a psychologist. So regardless of whether uh, you're taking medication or not, and what you believe in or not, definitely going to the psychologist is also a crucial step. I hope this was helpful. I hope you were able to get something out of this video. I have a longer version of it, and I'll put the link somewhere up here in one of the sides. And I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye from me. Ciao.